Hey everybody, this is just a normal Friday afternoon. I just want to make this video over my Sons of Liberty Gunworks upper and just kind of my build process for this rifle. So to start it off with, this is a Sons of Liberty Gunworks upper receiver. This is a simple PSA lower down here. I have an EOTech and then I have a Gunworks 762 Ti. Also, this is a Blue Force Gear Larry Vickers sling, just in a little multi-cam color. But anyway, I really wanted to talk about this rifle platform, just my experience with it, and I guess who it would be for and who it would not be for. These cans are super expensive, I think, for what they are, but I know they're getting cheaper and cheaper as they're becoming more of a legacy suppressor. We'll talk a little bit more about this in a little bit, and also make a separate video on this can. But when I purchased this upper, I also purchased the lower separately and kind of put together this rifle. And that's why it has this really crappy rattle can job on it. But yeah, it came with, I think it's a 13.7 or 13.5 inch barrel. Had a pendant welded Gunworks muzzle device on it. So there's nothing I could change here. And then I just slapped it on top of this PSA lower. Overall, this is a really, really great platform for somebody that's wanting just to put together a fairly inexpensive build when you compare it to maybe a premium BCM build or the Knights Armament SR15 that I have, or the H&K MR556. This is a really good kind of do-it-all rifle. But yeah, I think the biggest learning obstacle I had was this can plus this upper were kind of advertised to work fairly well together. It's supposed to be a closed off system with the pendant welded muzzle device, this flow through can, and Sons of Liberty. Granted, this is an earlier model of their Sons of Liberty uppers. They're supposed to be working in tandem together and supposed to be a higher flow through can with less back pressure. I guess in my experience, this rifle, let me make sure it's loaded, it's empty as you can tell. This rifle actually surprised me in the little bit of back pressure I would get and the gas that would seep out of this radiant charging handle that came with the upper. And so as I'm shooting this rifle, even though my face is kind of higher up with this EOTech, I was still feeling gas and kind of blowback around my eyeball all the way to the bottom of my cheek. And that was super surprising, even though this is not a dedicated 5.56 can, with how massive it is, with how much things or gases should be coming out of the end. I was really surprised that I was feeling anything at all. And granted, this is rated for 5.56, but I was using everything from cheap steel case 223 ammo to premium 5.56 77 grain open tip match ammo, and I was still getting a lot of blowback. And so that was a huge, I think, bummer for me. The biggest mistake I made, I think, was spray painting this rifle before I had really tested the whole system together, because now it's kind of something I'm stuck with. It's obviously a really crappy spray paint job. I guess I could fix it, but obviously the rifle, the optic, already spray painted, so it's kind of hard to go back to the black that it came with. But overall, I know it's probably not popular belief, but I am in general pretty disappointed with how this system works together. There's nothing really to say about the PSA lower. It's exactly as advertised. It's very inexpensive. The safety works decently well for the price point. I mean, I've felt nicer AR safeties that have done and don't click as nicely as this. We'll go ahead and it's already clear. Send the bolt home. Point the weapon in a safe direction. Just test the trigger. Maybe a 4 to 5 pound trigger, which isn't bad for a PSA lower. Put it back on safe. But yeah, overall, the stock, the optic, those are the things that I like. I don't really care for this charging handle as I'm getting in and out of the blind or moving in and out of the vehicle. I noticed it getting caught on either my clothing or my belt. I've noticed that a lot of people have different perspectives. They look at these and they say, an ambi charging handle like this is great. But I kind of reside to the fact that I like to always have just one big kind of hook thumb on here, and that's that's how I rack it. And so everybody's preference is different. But I also wonder too if this whole system would work better if I had maybe a higher, Radian Raptor SD charging handle or something a little bit different. But overall, I just was really disappointed with this setup. When I bought this upper was on sale for $1,200. The lower is around $450. So already right there, you're looking at over $1,600. Add this, which this EOTech, I think 512 was around $400. So you're looking at over, what is that? $2,000 basically without this can. Add this can, which I bought brand new 2 or 3 years ago, and that was probably $1,400. So this setup, even with the cheap lower and okay upper, is approaching $3,000 when you add the suppressor. And so the age of AR-15s and the age of AR-15s, that is insane to think about. I'm not saying this is a terrible suppressor, but the one rifle, well, I guess I've shot it on two. I've shot it on a bolt action 308 rifle, which it did fine. It's a more closed off system than this one. Did fine. The muzzle signature wasn't terrible. I'll try to throw in a video of that on a deer hunt that I use this with. But overall, this rifle I think is fine for somebody that might be the second owner. So if I sold this to somebody and they already had a cheap suppressor that they could remove the muzzle device and use a different one, or if they already had one of these suppressors, I think it's a great build for that. I'm sure they're gonna spend a lot less money than I put into this. But looking back, I think with the massive inflation of Sons of Liberty Gunworks uppers, them being a local Texas company to where I'm at, it's a little disappointing to look at how expensive their parts and their guns are in comparison of what you can get. Some of my other videos I've showed off Knight's Armament SR15. I've showed it off of BCM, and when you compare apples to apples, which those other guns in this system are, because this gun is arguably more expensive with the cheap lower, the suppressor, and everything else I built it out, is more expensive than what I paid for my SR15, and definitely more expensive than what I paid for my BCM 11.5 inch SBR. And so those other two guns, I've shot a lot, probably shot 1,000 rounds or more through the SR15, which I know is not a huge round count. I'm definitely getting a higher round count on my BCM in comparison to my Knight's Armament. But this one, I think I've probably shot around 500 to 600 rounds through. And overall, I've just been generally disappointed with how it's turned out in comparison to those other rifles. And so I'm looking to get rid of this rifle, which is, like I said, on my part was a dumb decision to spray paint it, because now it becomes a rifle that is custom to one person, and probably one person only wants it. It's not me, but maybe that person's out there. And so looking back, I wish I had done things differently, but this was a great rifle to kind of decipher what actually is important to me, what products might not be as advertised or work well as a system with this can, this upper, and this lower. I really can't speak badly about this PSA lower. Granted, I only have roughly 500 to 600 rounds through this gun with this lower, but I would definitely say I would buy one of these lowers again. I would not buy probably anything from Sons of Liberty Gunworks from now on. I've heard different conflicting customer service reviews, and the biggest problem I see with that company is I know they're starting to use kind of some similar barrels to the H&K 416. Those are coming out, I think, in their Mark 1 series. But as it stands, this gun is almost not any different than probably some PSA rifles, definitely BCM. I think BCM has them beat by a long shot, and they have a longer track record. But these Sons of Liberty Gunworks uppers and guns and their complete setup are becoming just as expensive as my other guns, whether it's H&K MR556, SR15, or a BCM SBR build that I had with all BCM parts and a Surefire suppressor. And so that is just insane to think about, that those other guns have a longer track record, are more niche in regards to what their use is. But this Sons of Liberty Gunworks, which at one point was a very affordable brand, it was giving BCM a run for their money, is now becoming premium to ultra premium in regards to the AR-15 industry. And so it's kind of sad. This, like I said, is an older platform, so maybe they've improved, maybe they've tightened their systems down. I haven't had any reliability issues per se with it, but everything from the recoil impulse, which I know is more of a lower issue, down to just the gassiness of the whole entire platform. just really put a bad taste in my mouth in regards to just this whole gun in general. So I'm not blaming Sons of Liberty, Gunworks, PSA, EOTech, or the Huxworks suppressor, but overall, I've actually found myself going back to either Knights Armament for their suppressors or Surefire. Obviously, it's a more closed off system. It's not flow through as the Huxworks can is, but I've noticed negligible to almost any difference on my BCM setup in regards to the Surefire can when compared to this one. And so overall, I think if I had to do it all over again, I would have saved the money, not spray painted, and probably would have gone with the Knights Armament, saved up my money for it, or just invested in a BCM. So you have different companies like Primary Arms that run sales throughout the year. And so those guns, whether you build them, buy them as SBR, buy them as a full, normal rifle, I think those are a better bang for your buck. Or if you want to save up for either H&K, which is getting very expensive now, I guess it always has been, but even a Knights Armament SR15, if you can find them, is almost no difference in price from this whole entire setup. And I feel like when shooting it, the recoil impulse is different. When I put one of their own suppressors on there, there's absolutely no gas to the face, shooting all different types of ammo from 223 steel case to full power 5.56. And so, yeah, I would say the sling is great. The little Larry Vickers Blue Force Gear sling is great. The EOTechs, I've had no bad experience with them. I probably have 7 or 8 of them, from their cheap model 512 up to their EXP S3, I think is what it is. And so far, I haven't had any issues with this PSA lower. I put on a couple different guns, but more so talking about the system, that's kind of where I stand on the rifle. But what I've been most surprised by is this Huxworks can is super, or at least it was super expensive when I bought it. I would not say it's a bad can whatsoever. I just think it was pretty hyped when I bought it. I think it was, people advertised it as a one-stop shop can for everything. I think it definitely fits that niche, but it's kind of the masters of nothing, but it's kind of fits into a lot of different roles decently well. And so I think that's where this can fits. I did not like it on my bolt gun. I know it's not necessarily designed for that. But I probably would not buy another Huxworks can when I've seen how well the Knights Armament cans and the Surefire cans have worked on my systems. But yeah, that's just kind of my review of this rifle with this suppressor on there. Yeah, I hope you liked the video, and let me know if you have any questions on